Hi everyone, my name is Nisa and this is Balqis. We're from the K-Youth program at Eduventor Academy, and since Merdeka is coming up, we wanted to talk a little bit about what Merdeka means to us as teachers, particularly when it comes to our students that we work with and what freedom Merdeka means for the kids and how that relates to our learning.
Yeah.
What does freedom mean, for education? For me, I have been thinking about, issues of bullying and mental health in students, the freedom for students to access education, as well as, to feel like they're safe and to feel like they're accepted.
Yeah, cool. I totally agree with that because Merdeka in the general of what we know is the liberation of our country back in 1957 when Tunku Abdul Rahman mentioned Merdeka 7 times. That was like a really important moment in history. It was really impactful. And to this day, whenever people feel justice is served, people will say Merdeka. So what about for schools and education systems, right? For children, I'm sure that they also want a sense of liberation in when they are in the school environment, because teachers basically are people that kids look up to. We seem perfect to them, even though of course we're not. But we have our moments as well where we need space from the hectic school environment, from rushing all the deadlines, from being overwhelmed, seeing all the children pack classes and work. But we are able to find space for ourselves as teachers. We can have a coffee break. We can have some bubble tea. We can watch some movies in between, right? Just to ease our minds and get back to class. But students, on the other hand, we subconsciously always expect them to be at their best at a 10 every single time in class. Almost like robots, unfortunately. So that is something that we need to change and understand that that is the liberation that they seek in school. So teachers will have to collectively try to integrate this new mindset on how can I make students feel more liberated in classes, in all the events in school, like sports day, any events or celebrations. So yeah, that is what liberation means in education. Yeah. What do you think?
I definitely agree. I think, when it comes to students' lives, I mean, you don't have a lot of freedom as a kid, up until you're like 18 or even older than that. Sometimes a lot of your life is controlled. A lot of the times it is for your own good because, as children, you need guidance, you need protection. But I think especially as you grow older, as you become teenagers, you start to crave that freedom and independence. You start to learn more things and you learn how to navigate the world. And in order to navigate the world, you need to have those experiences. You can't just kind of be trapped in school in like one environment you're the first 18 to 20 years of your life and then suddenly be thrown out into the world and be like, all right, go and figure it out now. I think it's super important for kids to not only sit in a classroom all day, that's part of learning, but also learn through experience. And like you said, through sports day, through practical activities, educational activities, and also just be allowed to live freely outside of school so that they understand the balance between, working and striving for your goals, but also enjoying life and other aspects of life. So me and Balqis are both Gen Z. And our perspective on education and inclusion is probably a little bit different to previous generations. I think as teachers, every new generation of teachers is gonna be different from the last. The way that we grew up is different. We grew up with social media. We grew up with the internet. We grew up with computers and phones. So in a way, we are a little bit closer to a lot of our students than some of our senior teachers. In that way, I think we have a sort of unique perspective, that we bring to the table. I didn't always have a phone, but I got a phone a little bit older. And I remember being in school caring about social media, being like, oh my God, this person said this in that group chat, and oh my God, I'm obsessed with this, new trend or whatever. Yeah, I think, having that perspective and using that to be able to relate to your students is really important. I can't fully relate to the current Generation Alpha, and the younger Gen Z, because my experiences are probably a little bit different. But also, I think understanding the students, where they're coming from, what they find interesting, how things like social media and technology is affecting their brains, because their brains are changing. Our current generation, with things like TikTok and going from television to computer to now their phones, their attention spans are getting smaller. Their understanding of the world and their understanding of things like socializing and how to interact with people and stuff like that is going to be so different. So that's part of what I think about inclusion as a Gen Z teacher.
I think you're right, especially about the technology part. It's like, I thought that we've already had it oh, we have tech, we bring phones to school and then we're taking pictures and uploading it on Insta. This is what we do. This is me and my friends. But now it's not even shocking that sometimes there are videos of students in school going up onto my FYP. They are at school. They're following the TikTok trends and, doing little dances and whatnot. So, their understanding of technology I think, will definitely supersede us because they are born with iPads, right? So that's why teachers, in order to make use of that technology, we can't just, have this mindset that, because we're not like them, we have to keep, up to date with how things are with technology. And we need to leverage the use of all these modern websites and tools to make learning even more fun and more efficient, because we know now that they grow up with screens. So that's how we have to make education more interesting, by using screens as well, but in a good way, so that they can see that it can be balanced, 50-50. And also inclusion, aside from technology, I think is also just to make sure that every student feels seen. So in the initial part where I mentioned about students want their sense of liberation as well. Maybe the first thing that we think about are just students like us, but then we should also be thinking about the students who are special needs. And we're talking about physically and also mentally. They may have different ways of learning, but that shouldn't exempt them and making them feel excluded or oh no, I can't catch up in class. Or that is also what leads to some students to have to resort to cheating and also copying others, because they feel you know what, I can't even do this. I'm just going to copy, and the teacher is going to be happy for me. It's going to be oh, I'm smart. I got this right. Mm-hmm. And also, schools also play a role making classes and areas in the school accessible to students who may have a harder time accessing or directing, navigating their way through. And I guess lastly, inclusion is also feeling safe, safety, where students feel safe enough and they develop enough trust to the teachers and also their friends, their peers, express themselves in creativity, their thoughts, and during their studies, and also their emotions, so that they can just let the teachers know, I feel left out, or I feel I can't catch up. And that's how the teachers can also work with them and make the school actually a liberation for the teachers and the students and everybody that works there. So yeah, I guess that's it on how we see inclusion, inclusivity in school, in the education system. I hope that this this discussion is able to bring up new insights and motivate each and every one of us to play a role in making the school a safer place and liberated for everyone. Thank you.
Is that everything?
I guess so.